Hey guys, how's it going? Muthurajah here, back with a new series on hand technique. Alright, so this is something I got asked. Some guys asked about right hand, some guys asked about left hand. I figured I'll do an in-depth study on both, right? Now, I did do a very brief fundamental right hand technique lesson a couple of months ago. So I put the link for that lesson in the description below, so check that out. But I will be talking about some of those things down the road, so it's just there for reference anyway. Alright, so I figured I'll start with left hand technique first. I feel like that's where bass players struggle more unconsciously. Alright, so today I just want to point out 4 mistakes bass players make and how those mistakes can be rectified and how these 4 mistakes are silent. You're unaware of these things. They catch you off guard, right? So the first mistake bass players do with their left hand is how they hold the neck. Most bass players choke the neck. The hands are so strong in. There's so much pressure from the fingers holding on to the notes and the neck in general. So that's why the notes buzz and you run out of energy to play, no stamina. And you're not able to play these fast passages if you want to because you're just not giving your fingers the room to do that. Alright, so let's just look at our arm as a whole, right? So you have the finger groups from the knuckles. You have the fingers, then you have the wrist, you have the elbow, and then you have the shoulder. Now we need to maximize each of these 4 muscle groups. So now, very simply, I'm just going to take the neck. I'm just going to put my hand here, put the neck in, right? So naturally, my thumb leans towards the first finger, but I just make a micro adjustment. I kind of straighten it up, and my thumb is between the first and the middle finger. Okay, but I am not stiffening it up. What I'm trying to do is, that's my anchor point. Now, depending on what I play, my thumb kind of acts like a pivot. So it doesn't just stay there. Right? So sometimes the further the phrases go towards the right of the neck, my thumb goes to the left. And the reason being, if I want to come back down, is just a matter of using this anchor. Right? So if I were to stiffen it up and choke it, I won't be able to do that. So you want to be flexible with this, right? So this really allows your left hand to be very free. Your dexterity goes up a notch because now speed won't be an issue, and also you won't struggle as much with just even playing one note. Like I know there are many guys, including myself before, until I developed RSI, I used to get tired of just playing a single bass line because it was just there, one repetition and in one position, for example. So that used to wear me out, and I couldn't figure it out until I just busted my wrist so bad, right? So don't clench, don't choke the neck, use your thumb like a pivot, right? So what I would even do is I won't even play a note. I'll just keep my thumb here and I'll just do this. Just get used to this, right? And now once you're comfortable with that, put your fingers on the neck and just do this. So what I'm doing here is the thumb is anchoring, but I'm using the wrist, I'm using the elbow. Then I can use the shoulder too. Right? So you want to just get used to that action. You just want to get the hang of it. So if you have, like, if I take these kind of passages, right? As much as it might look like there's a lot of tension, there is no real tension, right? So that's the first mistake. Now the next one is the 1, 2, 3, 4 fretting system. I would totally stay away from that, especially in the low register. It makes zero sense, because if I were to take from this G 1, 2, 3, 4 and I remove the bass, this is what I'm left with, a little tarantula, and you don't want that, right? So I would probably kind of implement that system in the higher frets from the 7th or the 8th. And to fix this, that brings us to the third step, or the third mistake. Avoid using the ring finger in the low registers, because that is the weakest finger from both your hands, actually, right? For example, if I were to play anything down here, even octaves, I use these two fingers, the first and the pinky. I never do this down here. It's impractical. You're just straining your wrist, your elbow gets strained too, and then you just run out of all the stamina needed. So avoid using the ring finger in the low registers, unless it makes sense. For example, with major scale, that made sense to play the F sharp with this finger because it was there, no strain. But then if I were to take things otherwise, if I were to take like a pentatonic, if I were to use my ring finger somewhere there, it would be nasty. You would just feel a lot of pain, right? So that's a third mistake. Now the fourth one, there's a huge difference between fretting a note and smacking a note. Now, you may notice this, but when you slap, you do a lot of hammer-ons, but the hammer-ons are not really, it is literally a hammer-on. You're literally, my slap is horrible. Anyway, you are hammering on. You're actually hitting the note. But generally, when you're fretting, you don't want to do that, because that is just a shitload of energy required. And if you isolate that to your fingers, you're doomed, because you're not able to use the whole arm, right? So all we do is very simple. We're going to come up here to this G. We're going to take those three notes, right? We're just going to play the first note and the other two notes, the A, B. We're just going to fret them lightly with the middle and the pinky. And then do the opposite. Right? Now I'm just speaking one note. Pick, 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 pick. Now you start to develop a very smooth sound, and also you're very focused on how you're getting to the next note after picking the first. That's all. Not, you don't want that. You can just do whatever you want, but the idea is getting into the note. You don't want to smack into the note, you just want to lay into it. So I would take the same phrase and then start picking all the notes and see what's the difference. Now picking all the notes gives it a very even projection, but I still want to retain the idea of not smacking with my left fingers. No, you don't want that, right? So, but if you're a guy who works on slap bass, no problem at all, but you need to understand the difference in technique is quite huge. When you're playing fingerstyle, when you're slapping, the left hand technique changes quite a bit, because the hit, the smack is a percussive element of slap bass, but when you're finger picking, it's not needed, it's not there, it shouldn't be there, right? So it's very important to develop an even sound with the left hand, and the best way to do that is just to take 3 notes, even 2 notes, and just really spend time with it, get it even, get it clean, and you don't want to get tired, right? So to help with all the 4 mistakes I mentioned, or these pointers, I have a little exercise that will be pretty useful. Okay, what we're taking is a minor 9 shape, which is a root, 2nd, minor 3rd, 5th, and then we're just going up the octave. And then once we go up the octave, we go to the 5th of the next root. So if I'm starting on E, I go to C, which will be the 5th of F. Okay, so on the low registers, I'm not going to use the ring finger. So and then once I come back to the F, go up to the F sharp. Now once I'm on this F sharp, which is the 5th of B minor, I start to use the ring finger. Now here I'm starting to use the ring finger and the middle finger instead of the pinky, because it makes sense because of the reach, right? So taking this one shape and practicing this in this manner, it helps you really understand those 4 points we just discussed about not choking the neck, about avoiding the 1, 2, 3, 4 system, about avoiding using the ring finger and the low registers, and about how much pressure or how you fret into a note, right? So with that, I'd like to wrap part 1 up. If you have any questions, please do leave a comment below. And please do subscribe to my YouTube channel for more lessons. You can check me out on Instagram and Facebook, Anthony Muthurajah Music. And until the next part, I'll see you guys in the shed. Peace.